Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my honourable colleague and neighbour from Nanaimo, Ladysmith, for her remarks. I completely agree that we need to remove mandatory minimums from our criminal justice legislation. I introduced, let's see now, it's almost 2 years ago, a private member's bill, Bill C-269. It was a lot of work, actually, to cull all the individual mandatory minimums that have been brought in under the Harper era, put them in one private member's bill, to make it easy to get rid of all of them, except for those for the most serious of crimes where we wouldn't want to remove them. I also note that the situation on Vancouver Island for Indigenous women is particularly egregious, and I want to open the opportunity for my colleague to speak to this, of the lack of remand centres for Indigenous women on Vancouver Island and the additional specific discriminatory treatment that they face due to this lack of facilities, and ask her if she'd like to comment further on the systemic discrimination in criminal justice, particularly as it applies to us locally on Vancouver Island.
The honourable member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Thank you to my colleague. The separation of Indigenous women from their communities and families when they have to leave our region to be incarcerated in other facilities, it compounds the problems that got them into the justice system in the first place. They become increasingly isolated. But we heard a very interesting circularity from a number of the witnesses. GLADU reports, which are supposed to bring additional considerations around maybe the impact of residential school or of children being in foster care into sentencing. The Indigenous women at committee are telling us this is giving, the GLADU reports are having the opposite effect. They're giving them they're identifying them as a higher risk inmate. They're putting them into more isolation and more segregation, which makes them unable to participate in the programming that happens within the jails, which makes them ineligible for the nice earlier parole, the controlled release from prison, which means that they are even more likely to be dislocated from their families, dislocated from their culture, and maybe more likely to reoffend. It's a mess, and this government has got work to do. We want to work with them together.